Welcome to our pod, and by that I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah.
I'm Laura.
And we are two best friends who do a deep dive into a new book series, one book at a time. Right now we are shiting on the Wheel of Time, and we are discussing chapters 26 through partway through chapter 37 in Robert Jordan and Brando Sando's last novel, A Memory of Light in the Wheel of Time. That was improperly worded, but you all know what I'm talking about because you've been here a while. But before we get into that,
if this is the first episode that people jump into, what a hot take.
It's just like very bold of you guys. I mean, I love it. If you're like, you know what?
Getting into the chaos.
First 25 chapters of A Memory of Light was not for me, but I will check in later. I love that energy. So,
I mean, the prologue was long, so if you want to skip that.
Yeah, fair enough. It was a very long prologue. Mm-hmm. But Laura, what are you reading, watching, and or enjoying?
So the last episodes of Ozark were put up. I've watched 4 of them. And I still have to finish the series. Nobody send me spoilers because I've been so good about avoiding spoilers for this show. Like, I cannot tell you how hard it is to do because people really like this show and they post about it all the time. And I have avoided all the spoilers and I don't know how it ends, but things are happening quickly, even at the beginning of the end here.
Oh my.
So I'm excited, but I've been kind of taking it slower just because I've had like a busy week and I'm reading a lot. So I wasn't really watching a lot of TV. So there's that. But I think the last book I talked about was Carry On. And then I said I was going to talk about the other book that I had finished right before. Well, I finished it on May 1st. So it was my May Day book. Mm-hmm. But I read Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir.
What did you think of that?
I loved it.
Oh,
it was so good. Okay, I really like, okay, so The Martian is one of my favorites. Project Hail Mary, I thought was even better.
Oh, wow.
It was so good.
That's exciting.
The way that he is able to make a main character funny and in a moment where they have like incredible stakes and emotions that they're working through is so unique. Like I don't even know how he can do it. It's very impressive to me. And he has a lot of science that he builds into the stories, but he does it in a way where it's like, oh yeah, I definitely understand what's going on.
That's like, awesome.
In reality, I probably do not. But
I mean, his dad was a physicist and his mom was an electrical engineer and he was a scientist. So I feel like,
I mean, in the acknowledgements, he thanked people that he like went to for help with different topics about atmosphere and different things. So, I mean, he's definitely kind of getting some info on how to talk about these science topics.
Right.
But it's still written in a way where it's easy to understand. It doesn't come off like a chemistry textbook. But the book overall was just, it was almost like a buddy comedy at times. And I just really, really loved it. Everyone go read it right now.
That's awesome.
Like, read it. Read The Martian. And then the other book I read this past week was Babel because you got the arc of it. And I was having serious FOMO because you were going to be reading it for Mega May. So I got it on NetGalley. I got an ebook of it and I plowed through that the past week.
The only person who reads recommendations by Hannah is Laura.
That's not true. Veronica wants the spinoff episode. Or the spinoff podcast.
That's true. So, I just badger people into reading the books I like. You like inspire people.
I don't inspire people. Saying Frederick Bachman is a good writer is not inspiring. It's just factual. Everyone generally enjoys his writing. But
I feel like Laura inspires people. Hashtag that on Twitter, everyone.
No, definitely not.
Why not?
Hannah and I both read Babel at the same time, and we're gonna do a bonus episode on it. It was so good.
It was so good. I loved it so much. Like, oh gosh, I was reading it when my sister was here this weekend, and I just like didn't want to put it down. And I loved having her here, and my niece and nephew were amazing. Sure. But I was also just like, oh my god, I want to finish this book so bad. And Laura finished the day before me, and I was like, I'm jealous you're done, and I'm not.
I didn't think I was gonna finish before you because I had a night where I had a lot going on. I was like, oh, I just can't read tonight or whatever. I had too much to do. I was tired. And I think you were quite a bit farther in the book than me, but then like the next night I read a lot and I just could not stop. Something about R.F. writing, I'm just easily sucked into that.
She is so smart. So smart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, it's so good. I love her.
This is another book too, where similar to, I mean, this is different than Project Hail Mary by far, but I think it's another author who is able to write complicated topics in a way that's easily understood.
Yes. Babel, for everyone who wants to pre-order, if you don't want any spoilers at all, if you're Laura with Ozark, yes. A brief synopsis of Babel is R.F. Kuang's new novel. It's coming out in August, so pre-order it today. Like, yes. Pause listening or do it while you're listening. But it's R.F. Kuang's next novel. It's a honker. It's a big one. It's a mega May pick. But it is following this kind of like alternate history of England and London.
Dark academia,
where a
fantasy,
boy is taken fantasy from his homeland and he is brought to England to learn how to read language as well, so that they can manipulate silver, which has like a weird magical realist like power. So it's so good. It's so interesting. And like, it's so academic. I felt like I was reading about law school so often. It was just really good. Can't wait to do our bonus episode on why when we tell people why they should be reading that book. But
yeah, definitely.
I'm glad you brought it up because I loved it.
My past two reads have been some of my favorites this year. Project Hail Mary was so good. Babel was so good. I can't top them with other books that I've read this year.
That's awesome.
So
no, I think Babel was probably the best book I've read all year as well. I mean, I'll talk about another one I love this week as well, but I just thought it was so good. I am building a Laura birthday month themed stack for next month. And so I have been percolating if I'm going to add The Martian to that list. So, because Laura does love him. Have you read his other book, Artemis?
I have not.
Okay.
But I've heard that it's boring.
Oh, really? Well, I bought it. So
yeah, people.
Oh, that's a shame because I have started buying all of Andy Weir's books, even though I haven't read them because you signed off on them. And Laura inspires me every day, bringing it all back.
Yeah. Hannah, what have you been reading and watching and or enjoying?
I read Babel as we discussed, and I loved it so very much. But I also read another book that's coming out this month, May 21st. I read Akwaeke Emezi's You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty. Akwaeke Emezi is one of my favorite. They're one of my automatic buy authors. And this is like their first kind of foray into romance. And it's about a person who lost her husband when she was very young. And she's kind of getting back out into the dating scene. And she kind of likes this guy. And they're having like a pretty well communicating relationship. But then she like takes this like exotic vacation with him. And she starts falling in love with someone who she shouldn't be falling in love with. And it's very interesting. The best thing about Akwaeke Emezi is their work is always so kind of like, it's short, because they're all like under 300 pages, but the emotion they pack such a punch with all their writing. And sometimes you're reading it and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't quite understand these characters. Like they're not like me, but I completely understand where they're coming from. And the way Emezi
like you can feel yourself in the situation, you mean? Like,
a lot
they write in a way that you can be in the situation without ever having experienced that before yourself.
Very much so. And you can also be someone who you're like, I don't know if I'd ever act this way, but I get this character so much on such a fundamental level that like, even when they're at their messiest, I get it.
Right.
And so I loved it very much. I thought it was very interesting. It's a good look on grief. As people know, that is a topic that interests me very much. And so everyone should buy it. Everyone should read all of Akwaeke Emezi's things. I love The Death of Vivek Ojai, I believe. I also loved Pet, which is their young adult novel. And I have a lot of their other works that I plan to read. They're a very interesting author. Look into them because I just think that they have a
lot of people posting that book recently. It must
No.
be like an arc that people have been getting.
Yes, it's an arc that lots of people got. I actually got two, and then I tried to send one to a friend, and it got lost in the mail. So here we are.
Okay.
And then I also read another NetGalley one of a book that came out last week called "Patience is a Subtle Thief"
Oh
by
yeah.
Abi Ashola Ayodehi. I butchered her name so badly, and I apologize. But it was overall good, not great. Weirdly enough, I've been reading a lot of Nigerian authors with Nigerian stories.
Oh, weird.
Because I can't remember if Akwaeke is from Nigeria, but yeah, Akwaeke Emezi is from Nigeria. This author is Nigerian, and Hope and Glory, which I read recently, is also Nigerian-based culture. So,
random.
I think it's just like, I don't know why. The algorithm just keeps pushing them towards me, where they're like, oh, and they're all wildly different. Because Patience is a Subtle Thief. It's about a girl who like never really knew her mother. The parents got divorced when she was very young, and the mom moved to America, and she was under the assumption that the mother did not want her. And then she finds out some stuff about her mom from an old family friend right as she's about to move to college. And this kind of opens up a need to find her mom and herself through it all. And so thus begins a desperate act to try to make her way to America. And she starts helping her cousin rip off banks. So it's very
cool.
Yeah, it's very heisty. I liked the plot, but sometimes it lost me a little bit. Sure. Like it was just okay overall. I don't think it's like a bad book where you shouldn't read it. It was just like sometimes the romance in it, she has like a romantic love interest. I didn't care as much. And like the most interesting parts, I'm always like, it just kind of like skims over some of the most interesting parts about this. And it was just interesting. But I thought the author did an amazing job of like showing naivety that's real. Like the girl makes mistakes, but you believe her. And so overall, glad I read it. Interesting book. Pick it up if you guys want to go on a Nigerian book author roundabout with Hannah. But those are the two books I will discuss this week. So yes, last week it was graphic novels. The week before was books Hannah hated. And this week is Nigerian authors. So yay, Hannah.
Interesting. The themes week, like that.
Next week doesn't have a theme. It's books Hannah owns, which is actually a theme in and of itself. So because Hannah doesn't read a ton of the books she actually owns. She usually just goes to the library.
I mean, same. I drive by the library like, I need to stop in there and get some books to read.
I know. I don't have any at home. I was so excited because like last month I read through like 7 library books, and then I had to go get Chicago has a wonderful thing. Look and see if your libraries do it, but they give you free passes to museums for children.
Oh, that's awesome.
And with my niece and nephew coming, I got a museum pass to the Science and Industry Museum. We saw a huge exhibit of Legos where they like made Legos into art. It was magnificent. But when I was there, I like randomly, it was my lunch break, and I just like walked through the shelves and I picked up like 2 more graphic novels and a bunch of books. I actually got some Batman comic books because I was like, this looks interesting. So yeah, I got like a alternate universe Batman, and I forget and I got a 2 Neil Gaiman graphic novels, and I really like Neil Gaiman. So we're gonna see. I forget their names, but I got those, and then I got a couple other books, and I was like, Hannah, you just returned all these books to the library, and you walk out with your arms full. Yeah,
and now you have 7 more books from the library.
And you're literally doing Mega May leading into a Laura birthday month book. So like, when am I gonna have the time? Never.
July.
Yeah, July. Right before August, which will be a Veronica book month. So here, what are we gonna do? Hannah and her themes just makes me need to read more. What books will you be reading
for August for Veronica?
Well, we're going to be reading a book together about Pan Am, I think it's called. She got a book from Book of the Month that she really wanted to read, and I said I would read with her. And then I think we also talked about a couple other books that I said I would read, but I also borrowed a ton from her, so maybe I'll just read some of the ones I borrowed from her. But yeah, we're doing a buddy read for her birthday month. and all that entails. So Laura's
Nice.
birthday month is fast approaching. So if you guys need a recommendation from me on what books to read for Laura, you can always ask me or just ask the person herself what books they should
Everyone
read in
read
June.
Frederick Bachman.
Laura wants everyone to read a Frederick Bachman book for her 30th birthday month.
And Andy Weir. Read The Martian, read Project Hail Mary, read Madeline Miller.
She knows. I'm going to be reading Madeline Miller and probably Andy Weir. And I actually was going to add a Frederick Bachman novel. I was going to read Anxious People for you.
Oh, that's a really good one.
So, yeah, I'm making a list for Laura, and you should too.
Wow, this list has grown because I thought it was only like a couple books.
You got to pick 4 books, but I'm picking other books to
curating.
go. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you've picked your 4th book, so
What books do we have so far?
You picked the Shadow one.
Shadow of the Wind.
Shadow of the
Carlos
Wind.
Ruiz Zafón. Okay.
You picked the self-published book from the guy where near we live, Memories Embers.
Memories Embers. Okay.
And then you picked Song of Achilles. And so if you want a 4th book,
Memories Embers, I'm going to be reading in June, and I just wanted somebody to read it with me because it's a huge book, and I was like, I don't want to read it by myself.
I mean, it's like a self-published book where like it's
actually like 8.5
by 11. So it's
I know the author, he did it himself, so it's like legit indie.
So we're doing indie August in a very indie way before it's cool.
Right.
No,
we're doing indie August in June.
Oh gosh, we're so hipster.
I'm curious what you'll think of The Shadow of the Wind, because I got that book after listening to What Should I Read Next and having like serious I must read this. I don't know what that feeling is. But they talked about it, the guest talked about it in a way that made it sound like the most awesome book they'd ever read. And I think she said that she read it in one night. Wow. And so I was like, wow, this must be a really good book. And it sounded like really interesting. And when I was reading it, I did not read it that fast, but my feelings kind of oscillated between okay, I get why everybody loves this book, and okay, this is pretty sexist. Maybe I don't like this book.
It's very funny because Laura's picks were, hey, I don't want to read this book by myself. Hey, you're never going to read this book if I don't put it on this list. You keep putting it on your backlist. And number 3 was, I just want to see your thoughts. You probably won't like it. And so if you want to see an all-encompassing part of Laura and my friendship.
2 books that I've been asking you to read, one because I love it, and the other one because I need someone else to talk about it with.
Which is so funny because I am not quite someone who does that. I'm usually if I give you a book, I'm like, oh, even with Carry On, I kind of gave it to you as hey, I'm getting rid of this book if you want to read it first. But it wasn't one that I was like, oh, you should read this. It was very much hey, I don't want this one anymore. But usually if I want you to read a book, it's either because it fundamentally means something about me, or I think you'll really love it. So
I don't do that.
I know you don't.
I like to know what people think about books, though.
I know.
If people ask me for book recommendations, I love to give book recommendations, but it kind of depends on the person too. I've had some people ask me oh, I don't really read that much. I see that you read a lot or whatever. What would you recommend I get into? Or so I usually kind of go with something more bland, oh, Daisy Jones and the Six. Read that. It's
Kristen Hanna.
Kristen Hanna. But if somebody's a reader and they're looking for something really good, then I kind of tailor it more to oh, have I read anything like this?
Oh my God, I have to tell you something on air because it's so exciting. And I didn't talk about
Let's
the TV I want to watch. But one of the characters from Sex Education is going to be the new Doctor Who. And I've never been more excited because it's going to be the first Doctor Who who's Black.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Cool. Oh my gosh, what is his name? I am just so excited. I love him. His name is Shuti Gatwa. He is amazing. He's a Rwandan Scottish actor. Cool. And I don't know if he's gay, but he does play a gay character in Sex Education. So the representation in this man that I'm so excited to see on screen.
That's
and
cool.
I've actually fallen behind on Doctor Who, so I'm going to be catching up. I'm actually thinking about restarting it from
The beginning.
Doctor 9, back when it like was first rebooted, and watching it all the way through again so I can remember.
Who is
some
Doctor
stuff.
9?
The ninth Doctor, because like the whole do you understand? Do you know anything about
I
Doctor
know nothing about Doctor Who.
Okay.
What I know about Doctor Who, I've learned through Community.
Okay. So I mean, it
So
pretty
nothing.
much tracks. No, so Doctor Who, like the entire premise is he's an alien who flies around in a blue police
TARDIS.
box, and he doesn't really die. His his alien race regenerates, and so whenever he like technically dies, he's like regenerates into a new person. And like he's still inherently the Doctor, but each new Doctor has its own personality and own ticks and everything, so it's a great way to like show progression. And so
it's a great way to have like a million seasons of a show.
Exactly. And it just gets to continue on and on because you always get a reboot after a Doctor plays for, X amount of time. So it ran from the 60s through the 80s. And then there was an 8th Doctor in 1996 for a season, but then it got rebooted in 2005 with the 9th Doctor played by Christopher Eccleston. And then David Tennant, my favorite, was the 10th Doctor. He's my favorite. He's Bobby's favorite. Then a huge fan favorite is Matt Smith. He's the 11th Doctor.
Okay, sure.
And he's definitely a great one. He had a lot of great characters. You should do a watch with me, Laura.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. I've never seen it before.
Let's do Doctor Who watch, and we can watch from 2005 to the present. So
You don't want to start in the 60s?
They don't have as many episodes in the 60s that are readily available. Like you get some, but not a ton. So then you have Matt Smith, you have Peter Capaldi, and then Jodie Whittaker was the first female Doctor, and she's been running from 2018 to the present. And I fell off in her seasons, not because of sexist reasons, because I just kind of kept forgetting to watch Doctor Who. And then I was like, I think I need to rewatch it from the beginning. And then I kept forgetting to do it. So
watching it thinking,
this is
better with a man.
No. I just want my David Tennant back. No. And then so with this new Doctor coming up, I'm very excited for it. So yeah, you and I will do a watch together, and we can
that'll be fun.
Yeah, okay, I'm excited. All right, but yeah, so that was my exciting news for what I'm watching. And then I also started oh my god, it's called like Under the Dome or something. It's very weird. It's Andrew Garfield's.
Is that a Stephen King?
Okay, so that is a Stephen King novel. So that's not what it's called. It's called Under the Banner of Heaven. And it is an FX show starring Andrew Garfield that's running right now, and it is about a Mormon woman's like murder by her brothers-in-law. I don't know if that's a spoiler. It kind of says in the thing. It's kind of a mystery who killed her, but it's kind of about like them becoming like part of an extremist religious sect, and it happened in real life, and it's based on a book, and the book also goes into the history of like Mormonism and kind of like parallels it to this murder case. I will say that like I'm going to finish this series. It's weird and it's not great in my opinion. Like it cuts over to like the history of Mormonism, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, but like it's just not as interesting. And
I was gonna say, is it one of those shows where it's like, I kind of want to know what's going on, but I'm not that invested in it?
Yeah, like I want to, and the problem is like I want to see the murder stuff. And again, everything Laura and I learned about Mormonism is from the Book of Mormon, so we're not exactly scholars on this. But a lot of times I'm like,
a book in the backyard makes total sense.
And I mean, they have moments like that where you're watching it, you're like, that's just very strange. But I feel like literally, like if you not literary, you like if you put it in literary form, it makes sense to go into the history of Mormonism. To watch a show where randomly it cuts
away to that, it's like
the beginning of Mormonism. I'm like, why am I watching? And it's always like Andrew Garfield sitting in a kitchen thinking of the history of Mormonism, and I'm like, I don't need Andrew Garfield to be the reason I'm watching this. Just like do it at the start of the episode where that's going to be the theme. Don't intercut it. But it has Daisy Edgar Jones in it. So, you know.
Okay.
And Rory Culkin. So, and Wyatt Russell. So it's just a smorgasbord of people.
Interesting.
But
I probably won't
weird.
watch that.
You don't have to. I watched it for us.
I don't think I'll watch
it's
that.
fine. I also started
accept your take on it.
There's another true crime on Hulu right now because apparently spring is the time of murder. It's
spring into murder.
It's Jessica Biel playing another like true life character.
Oh, okay. That has been recommended to me a million times.
Okay. I watched the first episode. And first of all, Jessica Biel, and I'm here for this, but I want to point it out where the character in real life was 30 years old when she did this, and they hired Jessica Biel, who is 40. And you know what? They do it all the time with men. So fair enough. But I do think it's more interesting when a woman randomly murders a next door neighbor when she's 30 and young and still relatively thriving than like 40-year-old and like, you know, getting I'm not old, but like it's not the same thing because like it's supposed to be a 29-year-old and 29-year-olds are still in effect like you're 29, you're pretty young. I think it would be weird if you randomly
still am capable of murder.
I know you are, but like that's the interesting part is like a 29-year-old killing and like it's a very specific take. And I feel like Jessica Biel was like, well, I want to play that character. And so they're like, well, we give it to Jessica Biel. And I'm like, well, there are so many other actresses. Jessica Biel, you have already murdered someone in a TV series recently. It was an amazing show and I loved it a lot, even though it was crazy, but can't you just be back there? You know, so.
I kind of think that sometimes we don't need to focus as much on the age of the characters and other times we do need to.
Well, because this is based on a true story.
Yeah. The context of the show means a lot as far as whether or not we need to focus on that. But
right. And so that was my one thing on that where I looked it up and I was like, this woman was supposed to be 29. Like one of the things I know about Jessica Biel is she's not my age.
Right. It can, and I think what I'm taking away from this is that it changed the tone of the show for you and how you viewed the characters just because you were like, oh, wait a minute, they were supposed to be my age? That seems weird.
Yeah. And then I think it's different because like you're seeing Jessica Biel run around with like, you know, 7 and 8-year-olds and it's like it's supposed to be like kind of about, you know, affairs of the heart and everything.
Sure.
And I'm like, it is different to see like an 8-year-old run around with like a 40-year-old woman versus a 29-year-old woman because then you realize like, oh, she had a baby when she was 22, 21, you know. So it does change the context of the show a little bit. But I liked it. So watch an episode if you want to.
I probably will because it's in like all my ads on the side.
That's how algorithms work, Laura.
The algorithm.
Oh God, that was a terrible movie. Okay, should we get dive in?
Inconvenient Truth? That was good.
I thought you were talking about the new Space Jam movie because he is.
Oh, I did not say that.
Algorithm, I'm pretty sure. Sure.
In Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, they make fun of the algorithm. It was a thing that Al Gore created. That's the joke. That's why I was saying that. I have not seen the new Space Jam.
You and I were making two very different jokes. His name is LG Rhythm.
Oh, okay. I think people sometimes find a joke like that and they're like, we're going to run with this a million times. And it's like, no.
I recently was listening to You're Wrong About where they talk about the Nicole Brown murder and it made me do a flashback to when I was watching the Ryan Murphy show about the OJ Simpson trial, and there's a moment where the two lawyers are doing the timeline of how OJ committed the murders and then like took a flight, and they look at each other, they go, this timeline totally holds up. I remember I was sitting with a friend and he and I were like on the floor laughing because it's like such a putting a hat on a hat scene where it's like, just you wait.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
And so I kept thinking of that moment. Oh, it makes me laugh every time I think about it. This timeline totally holds up.
Awesome.
So should we break into another timeline that totally holds up?
Yeah, this timeline, I don't know if it always holds up, but It's doing stuff.
We're gonna break into one of Hannah's favorite characters and one of Hannah's least favorite characters, because Elayne and Tuon are meeting to discuss.
And I hated this chapter.
Joining
so much.
You mean you hated this chapter where it's like, I think her throat's an inch taller than mine. How dare she?
I hated this chapter.
And Matt standing in between the two of them and going, now, ladies.
I'm useless, but I'm gonna pretend like I'm not.
But anyway, and then, oh God, this chapter was so bad because Tuon finds out that Elayne was once a Damani, and she's like, I shouldn't have even been speaking to you. I brought shame upon my name. You're not worth the sandal on, or the sand on my foot or something. I don't know.
It's something similar to that.
And then she's like,
rude.
She's like, Matt, why didn't you tell me that Elayne was colored? Like, this changes everything. And Elayne is baffled to hear that they are married.
Yeah, she's like, wait, this is your husband? Like, okay.
Matt, are you sure you don't want to escape? The amount of times people are like, Matt, you want to leave, don't you?
Nobody can believe it.
No one can believe it.
And we can't either.
Elayne reminds Tuon that Rand promised the Sunshine would help in accordance with the Dragon's Peace. Tuon also acknowledges the nation borders as they are currently mapped and will take no Marth Damani except in the lands they control. And then doesn't Tuon try to lie about what land she controls? And Elayne is like, no, dude, you're trying way too hard about this.
Well, I'm pretty sure, is this the chapter where they're trying to negotiate, or is this farther along?
I think they're trying to negotiate this. And that's Elayne's like, you don't touch the Sea Folk Isles. Right. She's like, yes, I do. And she's like, not if you're fighting in the last battle, you don't. And she's like, but yes, I do.
And then she's like, you have to allow these people to not be slaves, basically. And yeah, because no, I'm not going to do that.
But that's the whole thing, is Tuon is like, any Chandler in my land who wishes to be collared must be allowed to come to Abu Dar. And Elayne is like, well, I don't want to enslave people. And it's like
anybody that wants to be freed should be able to be free. And Tuon's like, well, anyone who wants to be collared. She's like, people want that? People want to be collared?
Nobody wants to be collared. And it's like this thing of it's again the fundamental flaw of colonialism. Speaking of Babel, and Tuon is sitting there thinking everyone wants to be collared because that's what they're made to do. It's this weird, suppressive effect that again is gross. And my least favorite thing about Tuon is just on full display right now.
If you're listening to the audiobook in this chapter, though, they get into it, and Kate Redding does a great job with this fight. And Elayne has a moment here at the end where she says, I plan to live forever.
Like
it's
I said,
startling if you're listening to the
timeline totally holds. Foreshadowing. But yeah, and then again, Elayne wins the fight by being like, why did you put on the Adem then? I'm saying it works just as well as you. And Tuon.
And Matt's like, girls, calm down. I know both of you, but I'm not really doing anything to break up this fight.
I know. And Tuon promises to help and will send some Suldam and Damani to reinforce the Aes Sedai at the ford. And then Elayne is like, Matt, I'll free you. And he's like, I'm doing okay, I promise. Then we cut on over to Elayne, who's pregnant with the Gregs, and she is exhausted and she faints because pregnant women be fainting. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Elayne.
Brigitte wants to retreat when she comes back to herself. Back at the command post, they ask Bashir if the plan is working, and he's like, totally. And then all of a sudden there's a second Trolloc army approaching. But Bashir hadn't expected them to the next day. Elayne gives out orders and rides back to tell Bashir, and she finds him arguing with Tam because Bashir is suggesting a retreat, but Talmana says they could sustain heavy losses if they did that. And Tam is like, this was planned out. No one was watching our rear. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, Bashir's a dark friend. He's a dark friend.
So here's my thing we're gonna find out. I'm gonna give a spoiler right now that this happens a couple times.
It happened so many. It happened in our last synopses where we're both like, oh, guess what's coming.
But at this point, wouldn't they have like taken a few more precautions to prevent something like this from happening?
No, they never thought about it.
Also, it just seems really unrealistic. Like, come on.
Funny aside, I have a mug with decaf coffee in it right now that says fuck this shit. And I was on a work meeting today and I went to drink out of the mug and I had to be like, okay, so I'm about to pull out this mug and I want you to know that the sentiment on the mug is not what I want to reflect in our actual meeting. It just happens to be the mug I'm drinking out of.
That's
and I really like this mug. And she was like dying of laughter when she saw it.
That's amazing.
Made me think of that. But also this book, fuck this shit. Okay.
So many things happen where I'm like, this doesn't, no, come on.
But she was a dark friend, Laura.
They would have been more careful.
I know they should have been more careful. The way, like, and then they all find out again, it's the Deus Machina. It is the Star Wars, like, good must be balanced by evil thing to be like, all of these men, their minds were affected, but good must be balanced with evil. So we find out before anything bad happens, just the small people dying. We cut on over to Gareth. He's also making mistakes and he doesn't know why. Uno has taken up a command position. Gareth Bryn sends Anna to ask Tuon for cavalry reinforcements, but a ruckin flying overhead is killed and crushes her when it hits the ground. Min offers to go in her stead. And Min travels to the Sunshine Army and she's like, oh my God, Matt's here. And she's like telling her what's happening. She tells him that Brit needs cavalry. And then Matt sends Tylee and the First Legion out. Then Tuon enters the room and Min in the loudest whisper ever is like, here's a viewing I see of Tuon.
Like for someone that has like for the longest time not wanted to like share her viewings super openly, she's like, I have a viewing.
Oh my God, I can't believe
it. Poor Tuon is like, what?
You can see the future. I'm never letting you go. And I'm like, Min is gonna be a slave at the end of this book.
I know. I was concerned for her.
She names her like
I don't know, she gives people new names. And
she gives her like Whisper of the Winds or Keeper
it's like
of the
Doom
Secrets
or something like that.
Toilet Tongue Grial. It's all the same thing.
Right.
So, yeah, whatever. Okay, so then we cut on over to Lan. He realizes Agelmar's tactics are also exposing them to a surprise attack, and he overrides Agelmar's last orders to make sure that he is correct. And he's like, Messenger, don't do what Agelmar says, do what I say. Loyal's fighting along the Ogiers against another Trollocs. They sing a song of mourning. It pains him to see humans dead around him. And he's just Loyal being sweet.
And we learned that they're like fast and good fighters in this.
Yeah.
I was like, did we know that?
I mean, we knew that they were always fast because they said that he could run as fast as a horse.
Is the horse. Yeah.
But I'll
be curious how they take this direction with the TV show.
I know. Loyal makes the plants around him turn green again. I mean, let's just hope they get better CGI and they're like, hey, you know how Matt is a completely different person? So is Loyal.
Yeah.
Matt doesn't trust the accuracy of the battle maps. He gets ready to see the battlefield himself. And they're all like, you can't do that, whatever your name is now. And then Min is like, I need to leave. I need to get out.
This is a trip.
And Matt is like, listen, wouldn't Rand want you to stay close to her and get her to do what you want? And it's like, wow, this isn't coercive at all.
No, he wouldn't.
I know. So, and then Tuon is like, oh my God, you're going to the battlefield? I'll come too. Yeah. Egwene has to watch as Trollocs come up and all of her veteran soldiers are being decimated around her. She wants to question Bryn about how this could have happened. And afterwards, she plans to join the troops defending the ford. Again, Lan realizes Agelmar must have been under compulsion And he is
again, they're not covering their bases here.
Yeah. And Agamar remembers that he sent Tenobia to her death. And he's like, what have I done? Because again, compulsion doesn't give you away from guilt. It just like, yeah. Matt wins a skirmish. He captures a Sharan channeler and gains supreme control over the Senshin armies. And they're like, you got your first, aren't they like, you got your first Damani? And he's like, I don't want her. And they're like, well, you can't give her back. You got to keep slaves, Matt.
Which, why? Why do you have to?
Because of colonialism.
Okay.
And Matt is like, I demand absolute control of the Senshin army. And he sends Min to Egwene to warn her that Bryn is a dark friend. Bryn's a dark friend. I'm just trying to channel my earlier Laura episodes.
Call a dark friend when you see it.
Perrin inspected Egwene's camp with Gaul. There's a lot of
they're like buddies now.
Okay, but they were always buddies, him and Gaul, because they traveled for a while together.
I mean, but even more so in this book where I'm like, what is the point of you two doing this?
Well, because Laura, in the midst of this giant ass novel, you need two men on a road trip. Okay?
We need you to double back over things that Egwene has done.
1,000,002 inspections of like, I don't know how long we've been here. It could have been 2 weeks. It could have been 2 months. Time works strangely in the dream world. We know. But anyway, it hasn't been in its position long enough to be truly there. Slayer has tried attracting the boar on several occasions, but each time wolves warn Perrin and the Slayer leaves. An old wolf calls Perrin, though he doesn't recall its name, and shows him Hessalam coming out of Rodel's tent. She immediately opens a gateway to the real world. He says they need to send warnings, and the wolf replies that he could do it. Perrin realizes that the wolf is Elias. And again, Perrin
this is where it's like, Brandon Sanderson, why do you have to like tie up these ends so tightly? You don't need to.
It's also really weird because he's like, because again, Perrin has like learned something of the wolves like recently. Remember when he realized the power was inside him all along? And then all of a sudden he's like, Elias, how are you in the dream world and not full wolf? And he's like, I am who I am. And it's like, we've learned this lesson.
Oh gosh.
I didn't need to learn it again. I'm done with them. Go away. And then Perrin realizes that Hessalam is influencing the minds of the great captain. They see Slayer at the entrance of the Pit of Doom and go to confront him while Elias goes to stop Rodel. Bran fights Moradin using Kalendor as a sword. He thinks that in the age of legends, he was the better swordsman. He asked Moradin if the Dark One punished him for thinking he was the Dark One, and he replied that he has by again returning him to life because all Moradin wants to do is
he just wants to die.
Again, balefire yourself. It's not that hard.
He brings him back and he's like, dang it.
And then Rand falls off a slope. One of Laura's favorite tropes. People be falling.
People falling randomly.
Tripping over things. You know,
he's like, whoop. Falls down into a pit.
I'm sorry. It's got to be one of those slow motion, like, whoa. And then he's just falling through black space for a while. And we're like, oh no, commercial break. Elayne is in a circle with 12 of the kin. Though between them, they hold little more than a single Aes Sedai because they're exhausted. They won a victory against the Northern Trolloc army. You're right. I do get a weird voice when Elayne's around.
It's Elayne.
It's always Elayne. I'm just getting my Kate Redding. I need to change it. So now it's deeper. They're in danger of being surrounded.
Okay, it's not that deep.
It's for the dramatics, Laura. It's for the bit. Come on. The dragons are out of ammunition. They only fire sporadically.
I'm curious where all these Trollocs are coming from. Like, how do they reproduce? How do we have so many Trollocs?
I mean, they're orcs, so they come out of walls, Laura. Like they did in the movies.
Okay.
No, they're in the way gates. I don't know, Laura. There's just lots of Trollocs and they're
Brandon
all in the
Sanderson, I need to know.
They're running with that weird CGI. They're coming to get you.
Like bopping.
Or their upper body isn't really moving, but their legs
just the legs are blurred.
Yeah. Roadrunner style.
Yes.
Logain arrives. He's with 100 Ushermen, and they tell Elayne to pull the Ogier back so they can hold the position. He just managed to decipher the notes in time study, and the Shadow had been planning this for a long time. No shit, Sherlock.
Oh my gosh. We've only heard about this in a million prologues about how they've been planning this. We know.
If that is what you're decoding, why weren't you on the battlefield earlier?
No kidding.
Like, oh, I really needed to spend these 3 days figuring out what's going on. They've been planning this for a long time.
What? There's been a plan all along?
All along. He says they came to her first as the Black Tower stands with the Lion of Andor. She thinks she probably will lose half her force. She wants him to open gateways for a retreat, but he says that with the current position, many of her forces would be slaughtered. She says they must do it unless they can produce a miracle. Logain asks Andral how much one would cost. Because Andral will be making gateways and that's it. A queen joins the circle, making 14 women and 12 men. The numbers, why do we always have to
I
know
don't
all
understand
the numbers?
why we need to know the numbers, but apparently there's
It's
like
always-
something to it where it's like you have to have like
You have to
two
have-
women with one man.
It's always
So-
like it has to be more women than men or equal to, I think, because like you
Right.
can have
You can't have a higher proportion of men.
Do you remember Jacqueline's Dalmatian song? It doesn't make sense proportionally.
Yes. We need to watch that again. That was good.
Dalmatian. One time I had a Dalmatian. She met a man Dalmatian. They got
fact
it on
that she
Dalmatian
just, like,
style.
Made that up.
uh,
Amazing.
okay, sorry. A queen joins. Okay, so Logain is able to join once they have the numbers where they need them to be.
They're like, we need one more girl over here.
It's like a dancing circle.
What? It reminds me of like different things in high school where they were like, we need one more girl on this team. It's like, no, I hate flag football. Not playing on that team.
Those men take it too seriously. I don't want them making fun of me.
I'm not playing dodgeball. I hate it.
You hated dodgeball?
I hated all of the PE stuff.
I mean, I ran cross country, so who am I to throw stones in a,
I
uncoordinated house?
Not a sports person.
Anyway, the remaining Oshmen hold back the Trollocs. Andral orders the soldiers to move back, and Andral opens a gateway to Dragonmount, though Elayne can only see it from behind. She feels an immense heat as lava 100 feet across pours out onto the Trollocs. He holds it for several minutes and makes 2 more. Elayne says they will be able to regroup and resupply and finish off the remaining of the Trolloc horde. Egwene goes to the command tent, hoping to speak to Bryn, only to find it empty. She learns that Matt is leading a Sunshine cavalry, giving the Sharans a hiding on the left flank. She sees Uno clambering out of the river. He tells her his force was instructed to attack the Trollocs, and Gareth Bryn would send in a reserve cavalry, but did not. Because again, they're all under compulsion. And like, even though we know this, we have to hear a million things about the compulsion.
Like, oh, I wonder what's going on.
So they keep fighting. They see men who they at first take as one of the blood riding towards them, but it's just men in robes. And she's like, and Egwene is like, is there a problem? And Min is like, how much do you trust Matt? And she says she trusts him to find trouble because no one can let Matt live down his
This
life.
is where I'm like, okay, Brando, this is not who you think it is.
No. Also, just like the weird lines they give us in this.
And also, that's like something Nynaeve would say. That's not something that Egwene would say, but whatever.
Okay. They're like, hey, and then Min is like, Gareth's a dark friend, and Colin
We
laughs,
know.
and he's like, no, Matt should stay out of the royal brandy. Colin, I hate you. Egwene tells Min to tell Matt that she appreciates the warning. Min tells her Matt seems certain and that Tuon has given him control of the Sentient armies. Egwene accepts that Matt is a good tactician, but says giving him the armies is beyond possibility. Min is like, at least consider it. And it's like, why is Min the like biggest fucking pick me girl I've ever met in a book. She is just crying for these men to pick her, and it's annoying.
Don't like it.
I'm hoping they fix her in the TV series.
Oh, I mean, it could only get better.
I mean, it could get worse technically.
Well, I hope not.
We gone over to Rodell, who's with Elias. They're fighting,
Having nightmares.
He's been having nightmares. He splits his army into groups around 3,000. They're fighting with the Trollocs and the Aiel on 3 occasions. He has felt himself wanting to send in a direct assault, abandoning the square formations, but he's fighting against it. Compulsion. And the Windfinders are sitting over with the toilet Tangreal, and they're preventing it from getting severe enough to wipe his men out. The thunder and the storming and the lightning and the things. The Trollocs withdraw and an army of Myrddraal appear. He thinks he should send the cavalry in to draw pressure from the infantry, but a voice in his head is telling him to withdraw. He's saying, no, I won't.
Somebody needs to also tell me where all these Myrddraal are coming from, because
Laura,
I just need to know where all these dark friends are coming from. Like, how are they reproducing so much?
Apparently like bunnies.
I know. There's thousands of them, and I just don't know where they're coming from.
I love this. It says like Queen sitting in her tent thinking Matt is a blowhard.
You have other things to worry about.
Why? A queen, come on.
Queen, we know he loves cleavage. Just stop.
She's just sitting there being like, oh, that Matt, I could just kiss him, just like Talmanis.
Other things to worry about.
And then she's like, oh no, he's right. He must be. And she sends Gawain to Cairhien to see how Elayne is doing. She sees Silviana, who tells her Bryn is in the mess tent. Egwene instructs her to fetch the hall. She can't accuse Gareth, but she can't ignore Matt. Gareth comes in and they're like, hey, you've had some poor orders and you can't do this. And Bryn tells her he doesn't know what's wrong. He keeps making mistakes. And she's like, oh my gosh, you've been under compulsion. How do we not know? And he's like, I must relinquish command to one of my commanders. But they're like, hey, they could be compromised too. And she's like, and Egwene is like, oh my gosh, I have to give them all to match the blowhard. Yeah. Matt
decides, only one who will not be under compulsion.
Matt is like, ha ha ha, I have my little fox medallion, so no one can compulse me. And he Min is interpreting things for Tuon, and Tuon's being crazy and killing people without doing any bad deeds. Awesome. And Min is like, please don't do that, or else I will lie to you. And Tuon is like, I guess you're right. Has anybody watched the newest Marvel TV show, Moon Knight? Because that tracks. That's the entire season 1 of Moon Knight. It's like an evil person who wants to kill people before they do bad things, and the person who's like, wait for them to do bad things and then kill them
before they do it. Right.
Anyway. And then Matt decides to move the 4 battles to 1 battlefield, and the field of Merilor is chosen. Galad finds one of his men's bodies on the battlefield. He continues up a hill to Elayne, who's telling her leaders of Matt's new plan and urging them to battle a victory despite their huge losses. Oh, and the marking of this is the 5 die arranged in a ring. So, it's Matt. Perrin battles Slayer and Tella on Riyadh. That's all Perrin does in this book.
I could have done without all of this.
They just go everywhere. And it's one of those things where I'm like, just kill him already. I don't care anymore.
Did we ever care about this?
No.
What was the relevance of this ever? It was briefly mentioned and then it never became a thing. And now in the last book, we're making it a thing.
I honestly have to read about who Slayer is in comparison to Lord Luke and what
the same person.
It is the same person, but it's also not. It's Luke gave himself over to the shadow and Slayer was imbibed into him. I think
it's kind of like a Padon Fane Morty type situation where they're the same but also different, and they kind of switch between the two bodies, if that makes sense.
I think that's the same thing. It just doesn't make as much sense as I'd like it to. But anyway, we cut on over to Fael, who is now more interesting than Perrin for some reason.
That's not hard.
She's trying to bring the horn to Matt, disguised as a chest of two rivers to Bach for him.
Okay.
They're going across a bridge to the traveling grounds. As one of them prepares to open a gateway for the field of Mayor Laura, a bubble of evil strikes.
I hate these bubbles of evil.
I know, you hate them so much.
Why? Maybe they just needed a better name. Why call them a bubble of evil? They needed a better name.
Because you have the bowl of the winds.
The bowl of the winds, bubbles of evil.
Laura,
and then you have cool things like balefire.
But their brain cells all went to horse names.
Pretty much. It was like,
we love the horse names. Can't win them all, Laura. Sometimes you need a good bubble of evil.
Gosh.
And sharp black crystals start erupting from the earth. Barisha hurriedly opens a gateway and Fael's party flees through, but they find out that they are in the blight. We cut on over to Avienda. Who cares?
Quit trying to make Avienda a thing.
She's with Katsuye at camp and they're attacked by Aiel channelers. And Avienda realizes that these must be the channelers that the Aiel sent away. They're like, remember how we told you that men who used to channel, we used to send them into the desert to die.
That's them.
That's them. They've been morally corrupted and now they wear red shufa and they're trying to kill us all. So watch out for that. I mean, great, like random thing to put at the end of the book, but like, did it have to be at the end of the book? Couldn't they be like 5 books ago?
I mean, there's so many of these things that could have been delved into like for half of a book instead of whatever. It's too late now.
But anyway, Grendel and the Trollocs are trying to force them into the valley. And they just need to get away. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Perrin's severely injured. Rand is out gazing at what he believes to be a representation of the pattern. He can see everything, and the Dark One wells up and brings its force against Rand. Fael and the Horn of Valier are lost in the blight. She's like, we have to get to Shile Ghul so that we can like potentially get to Matt. And they're trying to figure out a way to like walk around without food and everything. And they realize that one of the women she's traveling with used to be able to channel, but can no longer do so, being burnt out for 25 years. Even though we're told when women burn out, they pretty much just like cease to exist.
Right.
I don't get it. Avienda is broken up about the people in the Red Veils.
Because she like recognized one. She's like, I think that was the guy that was sent away when I was a little kid. Like, okay.
What did this book need at the end of it? Trauma.
Avienda remembering something horrible from her past when she was like a little kid. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So they're trying to delve to avoid ambush. Avienda draws on a circle strength and attacks 2 red veils further ahead. She heals one of the Siswai Amen with a throat wound to stop him from bleeding out. And then she feels 2 wells of her power vanish. And she dashes back to where she left 2 of the women, and they are dead. And one of them is under compulsion while the warder lies at her feet. And they travel away. Avienda's doing stuff. It's just not stuff I care to know.
No. Unfortunately, this could have, like, the Aiel stuff could have been like a whole book.
Oh yeah, it could have been like a side story that we didn't have in this book,
right? And
it would have been so much more interesting to like watch Aiel politics, but we didn't
get
that.
Avienda a thing could have
it could have been a thing, and she wouldn't have had to marry Rand because why? Yeah. Oliver's writing on Bella.
The fact that this horse is back.
Laura, she's
this is
magical.
One of the things that made me laugh so much. Like, this horse is longer lasting than even many of the plots.
Than Perrin's personality. So
funny.
Oliver is like on Bella. She's magic. She had Rand, the like here Jesus for so long around her that she can't die now, Laura. She still can't run very fast, but she does what she can.
Oh my gosh.
They realize like 5 people are being killed by the Grom. They have abandoned the wagon. They're headed for the blasted lands. Oliver is acting brave and thinking how he will kill the Shido. Oh, poor ugly little boy. And he's like, I miss Noel, I miss Matt, I miss Dalmanis. And Fael, Vannon, and Aravine are discussing their journey and the fact that the trail they are on appears to have been used for wagons recently. And Fael's like, we must continue on. Catiane explains to Avienda that the true power was used by the woman who escaped with Serene and that she suspects the woman is Grendel. Sorely, who was watching, argues that Grendel is never mentioned to be so ugly. Why do people care? Why do people care? Ugh. Again, Grendel can compulse you into thinking she's beautiful. That isn't a thing. This
series is so obsessed with like, this person is ugly, this person is attractive, that little boy is ugly. I hope he doesn't have a hard life because he's ugly. Like, come on. Ugh.
Anyway, we cut back over to Fael, who thinks someone's trying to steal the horn. So she sets a trap to catch the traitor and hides the horn nearby. They hear a scream coming from the area the horn is hidden in, and Fael is like, oh my God, I left it unprotected.
Amazing.
So infuriating. Fael finds Harnan battling some furry beast while Vannon holds the horn. Fael shouts thief, and Vannon tosses the horn and runs, grabbing Harnan on the way. The beast kills a member of the Chaff Fael, and another one appears, drawn by its cries. They battle the first orders, and Vannon and Landon to attack with spears. One beast kills a horse. And Aravine appears and Fael orders everyone to ride away as she can hear the cries of more of the beast. Fael does not have time to chase Vannon or Harnan if they are to outpace the beast into the blasted lands. The way she immediately is like, these people were after the horn for so long, even though they were just standing there holding the horn. Like,
I mean, I don't think if they were that into it, would they have like ignored it all this time? This is where I'm like having a hard time with some of this, like these ends being tied up so neatly. Is like, don't make this a thing and try to like convince us, oh, everyone's cared about this horn. And no, they did not. And also, why would they just toss it away when you were just like, hey, you, what? Come on.
Oh my God.
Sorry. I wasn't that serious about stealing it. Come on. You got me.
Good one. Anyway, we got on over to Nynaeve, who doesn't get to do a damn thing in this book. She's standing in the pit of doom. And then all of a sudden,
just waiting.
Like, everyone is like so enthralled with the final battle, just watching Rand, I'm guessing, battle in his mind a la season 1.
I guess.
And
were you just like frozen and just like
they appear
staring.
Frozen. And everyone's like,
this is it. This is what we waited for.
Nynaeve moves from the stone because she's like, are we all just gonna stand here? And then she finds Alana chained to the wall crying. She's been stabbed in the gut. As Rand is in control of the circle, Nynaeve cannot heal her, and she fears if Alana dies, then Rand, as her warder, will go mad with rage. Nynaeve
I'm curious though if that would be the case when they're not like super bonded, you know what I mean?
I don't think anyone knows that they're not super bonded. I think they're just worried because like any attachment Rand has could like pitch them either one way or the other. I don't know, Laura.
He doesn't give a shit about Alana. Bonding. I was gonna say that whole bonding situation was just awful, and I just can't imagine that there would, especially like when he banishes her from his sight and all this stuff. Like, I can't imagine there'd be any kind of like attachment there to be worried about. But what do I know?
What do I know? This timeline totally holds up.
This timeline totally holds up.
If that's not the name of the episode, I'm going to revolt.
This book totally holds up. If this is not the name of the episode, Hannah is revolting. That's going to be the title.
I can change the name of the episode.
Amazing.
Matt shows fresh troops how to make steaks. So dumb. I hate that this is chapter 36. Matt's surveying the troops, and then Perrin manages to the trick of stepping in and out of the dream in the flesh to save himself. And so Master Luhan, I did like this, that Master Luhan is the one who finds him, his old mentor, and he carries him off for healing.
That was sweet.
I know. It's really nice.
And now,
but Perrin also was like, oh my gosh, his only choice is to awaken from the dream. No fucking shit, Sherlock.
Perrin's an idiot. I mean,
oh my God, this is the longest chapter.
This chapter, for anyone who's curious, was 9 hours long.
And the outline synopsis is Matt leads the battle at the fields of Baralore while Rand and Perrin fight their own battles.
I should have just listened to that sentence you read.
Lan kills Dumundred. Okay, Laura and I finished up on chapter 37. Bye, guys.
If only.
Anyway,
9 hours. The synopsis that I'm looking at, it has it broken down into acts. So.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Where's your outline?
Mine's just on the fandom.
Oh, okay. Well, the acts make more sense. Lan goes to the fields of Mirrorlore. He sees Logain there with a group of Ashman, and they're like, I guess we're headed into the final. I think someone literally says, like, it's the final battle. And it's like, hey,
they do say that. Well, it's like working in the movie title. There's so many moments in this book
about your sexuality.
Well, this book was like so corny at times where I'm like, I get it, it's the last book, but like, come on, some of this is a little like too on the nose.
It is time for what? Someone lifts their arm up and waves it in the air for the last battle.
Right. And now we begin.
And Lan bows. Everyone smile.
And then Matt's like dancing in the back to the final countdown. Job style.
My illusions, new spirit. It's the final countdown. Actually, I have been singing Final Countdown about this book for the longest time.
Well, then it fits.
All right, we've come full circle. Just like the wheel. Elayne hears Drakkar in the Sunshine Camp. Bershi alerts her and she weaves a thunderclap, deafening those around her and rendering the Drakkar's call useless. They ride into the camp and see over 100.
Why didn't we try that earlier? Okay.
That was an option.
Seriously, if I was like one of the people in Elaine's army and she did that, I'd be like, what?
That reminds me of Labyrinth, where they go, don't go that way, never go that way. If she had gone that way, she would have been right up to that castle. That was an option.
Stupid Elayne.
Elayne has Brigitte tell one of the Suldam to heal. She enters the command building where Matt tells her he's been expecting her. And then she's like, what are we all doing? We're getting ready for the real plan, right? And he's like, I have a new plan. I didn't tell anyone about it, but I made a pages and pages long subterfuge so you'd believe me. Why did Brandon Sanderson make that Matt's personality? I hate it so much.
He doesn't get him.
He does not get him. I wrote a complete backstory, and now we're going to do something different.
No. Just no.
Yeah, there's so many movie quotes that go in my head on this. It's very not cinematic, but weirdly cinematic.
I mean, I get it.
And then we see Uno. He's with Talmanas and Aludra and all the other characters who we loved but didn't get enough of. Mm-hmm. And they're ordering the dragons. And I'll stay out of your way.
So true.
Rockin drops a message telling them to retreat down the southwestern slope. And they're like, he told us we just got here. They come under attack from the Sharans. Lightning rains down on them, overwhelming the Aes Sedai and the Ashman defenders. An immense gateway opens behind them, and they see Damendred, who weaves balefire. Uno realizes that the wisdoms of the order to retreat and organizes his men. Logain is by the Mora. He releases the power from what had been 39 persons circled and tells the Ashman and Aes Sedai with him they're going to try to find the seals that Taim has stolen. He tells them to kill any male channelers, and they counter and must go, leaving just a few behind. And he says that he's released the bonds to Tovine and that he will kill her if he gets the chance. He is shocked when he feels envy through the bond to Gabriel and thinks of how she has been trying to manipulate him. He links with those remaining, drawing through the Angreal, and Rand has given him and tells them he means to be the one to kill Taim. Spoiler, he's not. Gawain watches the battle through a gateway created by Yukari.
How about you do something, Colin, instead of just sitting around watching things?
I mean, he's killing Nynaeve slowly on the inside through his knives. Bryn suggests...
Also me. He's killing me slowly on the inside.
Bryn suggests that Matt is trying to bait a trap. They see Damendred killing thousands of men. But the only thing he screams is, "Where are you? My illusions, Lutheran."
Do you ever get annoyed that they keep like being like, "Who's there?" Like
yes!
Sometimes I just want to be like,
"Yes,
he goes by Rand now."
I'm just annoyed that they keep repeating themselves. Yours was on the name he was using. Actually, it's Rand. If he had only said Rand, that would have fixed the problem.
I'm just at the point where I'm like, just get his name right. Please call him Rand. You've messed it up too many times.
No more talk of darkness. That's all I ask of you for my real name. But Gawain thinks that he had promised to stand in Egwene's shadow, but that didn't mean he had to stop being important.
I could have screamed when that was happening. And then he's like, put these rings on.
Oh, these will kill both of us, but I'll do it. Challenge accepted. No one challenged you, Barney, but it's been accepted.
Stop being yourself, Gowan.
Tam is firing arrows at the Trollocs along with all the Two Rivers men. I did like the way, okay, I will say this. We are making fun of this chapter, as is our God-given right, as people who read these books. But the way Brandon Sanderson had like the plotting of the war worked. We are laughing.
Yeah.
We are laughing because, again, I tweeted this to one of our biggest fans. Breaking this down chapter by chapter is maddening, and you have to laugh when you sell out.
The only thing that could be worse would be breaking it down paragraph by paragraph.
I'm sure someone does that.
More power to those people. I
mean, literally, the readers of these books forgot most of the names, and Kate literally changed Elayne's voice by the end of these books. So sometimes things have to change, guys. But yeah, Tam's fighting the Trollocs. I really like the sections talking about the Two Rivers men. They're important. Matt is sending infantry banners from the Legion of the Dragon to try and ensure that Tam's men are able to hold their positions. And they're going to make sure that they expect reinforcement. We cut it over to Bavara, who's fighting Trollocs. She tells Andral her location through their thoughts.
Just why are they communicating like this? Just
why is this like randomly at the end where it's like, oh, if we bond each other, reading minds?
Did that happen?
I don't know.
Bothered.
So bothered. He comes to her through a gateway because it's his biggest talent. From the Sharan army, they move along the southwestern base of the Heights, saving a group of soldiers. They're fighting. They're killing Trollocs and Myrddraal through creative use of gateways.
Is that what it says? Through the creative use of gateways? Like, this is some kind of weird manual. Like, if you want to get really creative, you could try this.
Well, it's one where he's like, whoosh, whoosh, no more head. Oh God. And then Galad is like, why is Matt in charge? And Matt is like, do as you're told. Hold the river. And he's like, okay.
Galad's like, but I'm handsome. I should be in charge.
But I'm a fascist.
Come on. I'm your best friend.
I'm your best friend. Elayne is also complaining because, God, that family sucks.
I mean, what member of this family doesn't complain?
What's their mom's name? She's just pouring tea somewhere.
More gays.
More gays. More gays isn't complaining anymore. She's off with her husband.
She's happily married. She's like, forget about the rest of the world. I'm going with my husband and my tea.
I made 3 awful, 2.5 awful children.
I don't care for Galad.
I don't care for Galad. Yeah, but they're all just like, why is Matt in charge? Aren't we the rulers? And he's like, could you guys stop? You put me in charge.
Don't know about
anything.
He
sends in the Ogier as reinforcements at the ford and instructs Lan to like swing around. And he's like, everyone keep fighting. It's all of this long path, you know. Galad leads the White Cloaks against the Trollocs. And after the charge, he searches out small groups of isolated men and orders them in the ruins so they can be formed into new banners. He thinks he might have given Matt too little credit. We know no one gives him enough credit.
Everyone underestimates him and then is like, oh, I don't think I gave him enough credit. Oh, okay.
And then it's like Matt got promoted based on his actual knowledge of battle, and people are still like, but did he earn it? Yes, he did. You were just born into this, Galad. You just look pretty.
And then Moraine, I don't remember when it is, she has at one point where she's like, Matt is actually the oldest and wisest among us all. And they're like, what?
I hate this. But anyway, they keep fighting. We cut on over to Rand, who stands there frozen, probably looking constipated. And he sees a possible future in which the blight has overrun the world. He sees Tam, Jory, and Denel working on a tree stump. Insects swarm out of it and kill Jory. Denel takes Rand to Nynaeve, who then takes him to be turned. He learns that in this reality, Nynaeve, Egwene, Catiane, and Logain have all been turned, and that Elayne, Avienda, and Min are endlessly tortured.
Of course, this is his worst case scenario. Where it's
Of course.
People that advise him are kind of behind torturing his lovers. That's what his worst case scenario is.
Remember when he would have dreams where the love of his childhood would be tortured, and he was like, but weirdly enough, Elayne bothered me more.
Oh. I had forgotten, but thank you for reminding me.
We've been reading this for so long. My summary says right here, he refuses the reality of this world. And I'm like, me too. I also refuse this. He refuses the reality of the world, and it shatters Laura.
Gosh.
He takes the thread of the pattern and tells the Dark One he will show him what is going to happen. Egwene sees tiny rocks forming, and she's like, oh my God, it's balefire. It's forming. And she sees that they look into pure nothing. She weaves and heals them, turning them into normal cracks before noticing that Gawain is missing.
He wanders off. Oh.
The fact that she has to treat him like a child, like, where did I put Gawain?
She's like, turned out, she's like, Gawain, what? Where'd he go?
And then everyone's like,
just talking to him.
I thought Matt was mad, but I guess he's really good at this. Gawain walks through the battlefields. He kills a Trolloc, and that is carrying the body of Simon. I don't remember who that is, and immediately regrets it. He sees where Damandred is and runs after him, thinking that someone had to kill Damandred and that Egwene and Logain can't be risked, but he can. Except if you're risked, Egwene is risked. How is he the stupid? He was raised knowing what a warrior does.
He can't put 2 and 2 together.
Oh my God, I hate this man. And then he sees Damodred and he's like, I'm gonna sneak up on him like the 5-year-old child he is. But
his plan is like, I'm gonna go behind him and just pull him off his horse. It's not even
again, this is a 5-year-old's plan. His mom,
if he's able to sneak up on him, why doesn't he shoot an arrow at him or something if he's behind him? Like, be smarter. Like, come on.
Laura, this is literally a kid who got lost in the mall and decided he wanted to open the presents in Santa's sleigh. Like, that's what's happening here.
Empty boxes. They're just for decoration.
Oh God, Gawain, you're so stupid. God, Karen, I can't go to Taco Bell. I'm on an all-carb diet. Oh God. So Damodred aims balefire at Gawain, which misses. Unfortunately, he strikes Damodred's horse and prepares to kill him after he's thrown off. A blast of air saves Damodred, and the two begin to fight. Damodred waves off the Sharans. Gawain does well at first, with the edge of the rings giving out, but despite the extra speed, is unable to land a hit on Damodred. No fucking shit, Sherlock. Damodred channels to throw a rock at Gawain, hitting him before telling Gawain that he is the savior and that Rand is mad, and as the Great Lord, he cannot be defeated.
He's dumb enough to actually maybe believe this.
Oh, he's definitely dumb enough to actually believe this. He says he will protect the world by destroying it and sheltering its people. He also tells Gawain that he believes that Mat is actually Lews Therin, as no mortal general would have the skill that Mat has shown.
Even the Dark Friends underestimate Mat.
Also, like, why the fuck is he telling Gawain this? This is like the Scooby-Doo of villainy. And I would have gotten away with it.
Hello, random man that I don't care about. I'm going to give you a monologue.
How does he know who Gawain is? How does he know?
He doesn't know. He's just giving him a random monologue of his plans.
Galad, hey, you're better at fighting than your brother is. Like, how did you know? Anyway,
I don't know. He can sense him coming up behind him, so maybe it's something to do with that.
I sense an idiot. I know who this is. He tells Gawain,
you smell the same as your dumb brother.
You smell the same as your dumb brother. Oh, this is a fun chapter. He tells Gawain that his weakness is that he wields the sword rather than becoming it, and then he stabs Gawain in the stomach and tells Gawain that if he survives, he should tell Lews Therin that Damodred is looking for him. You've been screaming his name for hours.
He's like,
we know.
If you live through this, could you let Rand know that I'm looking for him?
No, he thinks it's Mat now.
That's right.
You live. Could you tell Mat to come get me? I know I've been screaming his name for hours, but he doesn't seem to be hearing me. Damodred leaves. Gawain pulls himself onto a horse and he rides off. Fael's traveling, and one of her people is like, Vannon and Harnan were not dark friends. And Fael's like, you must be wrong. She looks up at the Thakandar and thinks she will get the horn to Shal Ghul. Salandi and Erlel arrive from scouting and tell her they have seen a caravan. They see a village in the foothills, and there is a central supply station not far from it. A gateway opens and men trudge through it with carts. Fael plans to sneak through the gateway as a best option. They see a group coming and realize they won't be able to sneak past them, so retreat to plan their next move. Perrin again wakes up in Elayne's place.
This is so frustrating too, because why does this have to happen again?
I don't know. But she's like, I've taken precautions to prevent the problems that occurred last time he spent the night in her tent. Ugh! He learns that the armies are fighting and Fael vanished and she's probably dead. Again. We're just repeating Perrin's story over and over again.
Just why?
He asks someone to wipe away his tiredness, but she says even if she knew how to do it, he needs rest. He falls asleep and considers going to the wolf dream, but then realizes he needs the true sleep or he will die. Andrel starts resting and having people heal his injuries as well as other people. And we kind of get to a part where people, this is also weird, where they're like, people have to stop to eat sometimes in battle because it could take days and days and
You all
days.
need your energy.
Ruark is fighting. He thinks of people as the honor list. He and his companions come across a group that are unable to channel fighting Aiel. They slay them, but some of his people are killed. He kills one of the red-veiled Aiels, and he thinks the Aes Sedai and the Ashaman are tiring. Hessalam uses compulsion on him, turning him into her adoring slave. So I think we should probably end there.
Okay.
Because I don't want to talk anymore.
Okay.
I mean, we could keep going, but I feel like we're going to cut back into Rand. And I think that's a good part to cut back into. Okay. So we will stop there. There's still so much of this chapter left to go, but I also feel like
there's probably like a good 8 hours left.
Well, I just feel like now's a good stopping point, because even if there's a lot to go, I think that there's going to be a lot of fighting back and forth. Mm-hmm. We have Fael trying to get to the last battle. We have Matt fighting in the last battle. We have Perrin asleep.
Perrin popping in and out of the dream world.
And Gawain has been stabbed. So life is nice and shiny right now. Uh-oh. Dun, dun,
Hannah's dream. Gawain was stabbed.
Yeah, so please join us next week, guys. We're going to be covering the rest of chapter 37, and then
and the rest of the book.
It's going to be us just talking about the rest of the book. It's going to be crazy. Wow, I just can't believe it. This is so weird.
Almost done.
We're going to be covering the last chapters, so finish up the book if you haven't yet. We've had small spoilers, but not too many. And
besides all the spoilers we've given, so
but please come back to laugh through the rest of chapter 37 with us. And
find us on all the places.
Yes, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. Rating, reviewing, and subscribing is a great way to introduce people to our almost complete discussion of the Wheel of Time. You can also follow us on our pod at our pod on Twitter and on Instagram. There you can find both of our own personal Bookstagram social media handles, and we're sharing a lot of good stuff. And we should be announcing a giveaway this Wednesday for our indie intermission, where we will be covering I Hunt by Olivia Hill. We're very excited to be covering it, and we will be giving away one copy to someone in these United States. So make sure to look on our social media platforms to see how you can win yourself a copy to follow along with us. Yes. We look forward to talking next week. Bye.
Bye.